It's time to be unburdened by what has been spewed from the debate last night. Kamala versus Trump, dude. All this and more today on Self-Evident Podcast.
Here we go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Self-Evident Podcast. You got Massey, you got Miguel.
Hola.
A recent convert from the border to You one of them illegals that Trump was talking about last night where he's doing all the criming?
I come. Thank you, Joe.
I have $5,000. I have free phone. I have license. I have everything. I was a mixture of Russia and Mexican there.
They're Russian Mexicans.
They're Russian and the Mexicans.
Yeah. Hey.
Anyways, guys, welcome to Self-Evident Podcast. You got Massey, you got Mike.
Yep.
If you have not done so yet, please share this video. We're encouraging you to share the video. It gets the views up. It gets all the comments out there. We're getting so many different comments, which is great. And it's reaching an audience that we can't. So if you can't support us financially, which I'm going to ask to do next, you can by sharing and liking this video on any platform that you're at right now. Second, go to theselfevidenttruth.com, theselfevidenttruth.com. You guys can find out exactly where we're going, what we're doing. We actually leave this weekend to do a 2-week preaching run in Texas, so we're going to be excited about that. We'll share all the details about that too. So if you guys want to help support that trip, you guys can. Go make a donation on our website. Also, you can just support us just because you want to support the good work that we do and our podcasts and all that stuff because it's you guys that keep us going. So thank you so much for supporting and sponsoring and doing all those things. We love you, and we will continue to spread the truth of Jesus Christ and how we can be good civic, responsible citizens out there in this country. So last night was
It was interesting.
It was... It was.
It sure was.
It was. You know, winners and losers. Everybody wants to know who won, who lost. You know, I saw Geraldo Rivera this morning. He's always been against Trump, so he's like, he failed the whole time. He was just spitting rhetoric and blah, 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 which he spits his own rhetoric every freaking time he gets on the camera. You know, so who was it? What's his name? He was on Fox, old fella. Gosh, I'm seeing his face right now. Conservative commentator. Anyway, he was on too saying, you know, Trump went off the rails with the whole dog thing and cat thing, which is ridiculous because it's been proven.
Yeah.
But the real winner and loser, the babies. Well, I'll just say this off crap.
That's
you guys know,
Yep.
You guys know where we're at with that issue, especially life. Neither one even talked about what abortion is. It's when abortion is. And that's dangerous. It's dangerous for even government officials to assume that they have the right to do that and to talk about when life begins or ends. Even when Trump pushed her on the extremes, she's like, no, I'm not that extreme. Yes, you are. You know, and it's all the lies and all the rhetoric. So the ones who lost are the babies. And ultimately, you know who loses when the babies lose? We as the people, because God judges nations for the stuff.
Yep.
So winners, I don't know. Dude, it was a giant cluster to me, and I know Trump is always attacked, and you know the sad part, truth too. They didn't even bring up the assassination attempt.
Isn't it?
Isn't that stupid?
I was talking with somebody this morning. We were texting back and forth, and it was like, "Isn't it funny that assassination attempt?"
You really are.
My brain fell out.
Derp.
No, it lasted a week. And then suddenly, we got to sweep that under the rug. And you're right. Didn't even come up. No,
which,
just
dude,
move on forward.
It's so crazy because, like, dude, if that was Biden or Kamala, they'd have been on that for 20 minutes.
Trump, how dare your rhetoric drive an assassination attempt?
And again, it was, I agree, it was 3 against 1. They did their own fact checking against Trump, not Kamala. They didn't even try to press her on what she said.
And we got clips.
So we'll go into that. But it was quite an ordeal. Lots of lies. And what it is they don't consider it lies. They consider it spinning truth. So it merits their favor. So I don't know what you guys thought. Comment down below what you guys think about all this. Who won? Who lost? and ultimately the babies lost.
Yes.
And I think that's where, and honestly, the American people lose if we can't even protect the babies. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm not saying Trump didn't do good. I think he did good. I think we know his positions. As far as like not the abortion issue, I don't believe in that, what he believes. But when it comes to economy, you can't deny we were better under economy under him. If he sticks to those talking points, he'll win. You know what I mean?
And
He can't lose.
People are right. Like he went in knowingly to a buzzsaw, and I know there's a lot of people who, oh, he should have done this, he shouldn't have done that, oh, he was weak on this. Yeah, he missed chances. I totally agree. He missed chances, he missed opportunities, he got in the muck a little too much. But at the end of the day, kind of what do you expect? It's 3 against 1, and we'll get into some of the questions and the way the questions were posed. It's like, Trump, why do you beat your wife? And then going to Kamala, why do you think Trump beats his wife?
Because if I say I don't, right.
You're lying.
You're right.
Liars.
That's right.
Then Kamala, why is Trump so just evil? Can you tell us why you think he's evil? So obviously, and we'll get into the moderators' questions, but I do want to point out, Kamala finally has issues on her website. She put out her policy. Finally, it only took September 10th's debate for it to come out. Truly, her website had no policies,
but
no
they did
issues.
it because nobody could pick it apart before the debate.
Right.
What were they going to do? You know what I mean? So this is all strategic. I don't know if y'all can see it. I mean, you'd have to be dumb and stupid and blind, willfully, actually, to not want to see these things. And honestly, the left, being what the left is into large government, and there are useful idiots in that purpose. The right is falling into that same trap, I believe. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, I say the right. The Republican right, even down to where the left is saying that Republicans are endorsing Kamala. Like she said, I had how many Republicans endorse me? They're not even real Republicans. You know what I mean? These guys were moderates at best, at worst, caged liberals. I find it funny that she said she had the endorsements from Dick Cheney and all these other people. And Dick Cheney just 12, 15 years ago was considered a war criminal. He was antithetical to the American ideals, all these other things, and all of a sudden it's like now that she gets the endorsement, Dick Cheney's like this bastion of liberty and hope and freedom for the Republican Party.
Let's hit that. Let's
let's go for
roll
it.
that clip. We'll go ahead and hit that one.
You talk about extreme.
Mind you, let's pause this for a second. Mind you, she says talk about extreme because she's talking about the whole Springfield, Ohio stuff, which we'll get to. But Trump's saying, look, this is happening. And she looks at, isn't that extreme? Oh, my goodness. I don't have a whole lot of love for this woman outside of the love of Christ. That's about it. That's as far as it goes. Anyways, we'll continue. Here we go. She says,
This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain.
Pause. Who have formerly worked with Bush, Romney, and McCain, which we all know were the worst of the Republicans ever. They were never even Republicans. They were shills at best. They're working for they're more liberal than any conservative. They don't stand for anything. They didn't actually. McCain really. I mean, it was.
my goodness.
There was so much to this. To say you worked with Bush, we were never for Bush. I remember when I first got into politics, we called out Bush right away. We thought he was a government shill. And people were like, "Oh my gosh, freedom, liberty, hope." Blah. 10 years later, it was like, man, weapons of mass destruction. That was a lie. 20 years later, it's like Bush was a terrible president.
Patriot Act. What was that? And let's put this forward. Let's translate for Kamala Harris. The global cabal war criminals support me. That's her endorsement. She's got Romney, she's got Bush, she's got Dick Cheney. And wasn't it funny that John McCain was this horrible, evil, awful person while he was alive, but now suddenly the legacy of his son is just, it's heroic. And it's so funny to me, she is touting the fact that this whole group of establishment criminals a lot of them I would voice are criminals, are supporting her. And so that must be a good thing. But we'll continue.
We will continue.
Including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney.
Yeah, because she's a
And
great one.
if you want to really know
Can we talk through this?
the inside track,
The audio levels
Oh,
cut weird. That's the only reason that I try not to do it. All right. So there you have it. She's endorsed.
she's endorsed once again by liberals.
They're-
I'm
they're
I'm at a loss for words here. She got the endorsement of liberals.
Why don't you splash that on your front page, Kamala?
Way to go, Kamala.
Yeah.
You got endorsed by liberals.
I want her to put up front and center, endorsed by George Bush, because I'm sure your base will love that.
and Trump's base will be all the more energized. Oh, good. I know exactly who to vote for then.
Wait, you're telling me the guy who pushed through the Patriot Act is endorsing you?
By the way, you might lose Democrats for that because there's still Democrats who hate Cheney and Bush. Right?
But they support me. Doesn't make sense.
Nothing.
Anyways, let's go to the immigration stuff because that's fun. Here we go.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know
Let's pause it. At least he's being honest.
Tough restrictions.
Yes, no, it's very tough. Very, very tough. A couple months before the election. We continue.
Tough.
significantly. But my question to you tonight is
Lies.
why
Whoa.
Lies.
Yes.
Lies.
Yes.
Lies.
Can we play with that for a second?
Let's do it.
Why did the numbers drop? You may be wondering. They say, oh, well, numbers are now lower than Trump had. Because now
Not the truth.
They're putting people through ports of entry so that way they don't have to say that they're illegally crossing open borders. That's the only change that has been made. There has not been a we're closing down.
And there was Vance was the one who kind of brought this up at first. He was being interviewed by the lady that interviewed last night. I don't even know her name, but she said, "But don't you see then that there's an efficient way to do it?" And I'm like, "Well, then if there was, why allow the illegals to come in? If there's an efficient way to do it, why didn't they do that in the first place?" By the way, second, what's efficient about having no information about this person coming through the border?
Yes. But
what is efficient about that? How do you determine that?
we will hand money, we will give housing assistance, we will give plane tickets, and we will give cell phones and, whatever else they
But
need.
you're saying there's an efficient way to bring them in because they're asylees, right?
Yeah.
How? What do you know about them? What's their past? Is that really their kid? You don't know, right? So we're just letting them pour across the border. This is completely false, even by ABC. And they do this crap to try to throw you off. It's been the lowest. No, it's not. It's actually even more.
All they do is, and they do it with the economy, they do it with throw out a random sector. What they'll do is they'll play with the numbers so then they can point. Remember this gets memory hold, but they changed the definition of what a recession is so that they could say we're not in a recession. It used to be, what was it, 2 quarters of negative growth consecutively. Hey, you're in a recession. Then they changed that. Well, that's not really what it. Oh, that's funny because that's what we've defined it as for the past how many years, decades,
for millennia.
You're right. And now all of a sudden, well, we need to change the definition.
Yes.
So you can tell people we're not in a recession.
If you couldn't see, this was a lynching in the most egregious way against truth. Not against Trump necessarily, but against truth. I don't know what we're watching anymore.
Right. Let's continue.
until 6 months before the election to act. And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on
Here,
this?
softball.
So I'm the only person on this stage.
Softball question.
Do you see how they separated her from Biden?
Exactly.
So 6 months before the administration finally did something, what would you do differently? As though you're not a part of that administration.
That's exactly right. That's right. That's right. So softball question, not, hey, why did you wait 6 months prior? Doesn't this look like a political ploy? That's how they pushed Trump.
Right.
This was, what would you do? I mean, would you do anything different, Miss Harris? I mean, I just wanted to know, since I have my nose so far up your butt crack, and my job depends on everything I'm asking you right now, what would you do differently,
And what
Kamala? Since you have no policies on your website at all, and you've never even taken questions from the media, what would you have done different? Is there anything from her past we can point to that say she would have done something different?
And we will be honest, the guy in office, his brain is leaking outside of his ear, so we can't really ask him. So we'll ask you what you would do differently from the guy who's incapacitated and a complete vegetable at this point.
And since he's dropped out of the presidential race and we've not heard from him one time since, what would you do differently from the senile guy?
That you're not attached to. You're separate.
Yeah.
We trust us. We know you're different.
As if to know that your administration wasn't his administration. What would you do different, Kamala? By the way, we'll give you 15 minutes to respond to this.
Trump, you're wrong. I didn't. You're wrong. Just stop. All right. Continue. Here we go.
Who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations.
I
for the
thought for
trafficking of
sure when I first heard that. She was going to say, I prosecuted transgender people coming across the border. Transnational criminal organizations. They're
She didn't.
different.
It would have been nice to name a couple.
Yeah.
Like, hey, throw it out there, right?
Yeah, tell us.
Like MS-13, like this and this and this. I did a lot of work prosecuting those people. Nope. I prosecuted transnational criminal organizations.
Except the ones taking over apartment complexes.
I just want you to see her answer. The question was, what would you do different? Why did you wait till 6 months before the election?
Thank you.
She doesn't answer the question.
Here we go.
drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would.
Hold on. Math time. 1,500 more border agents. Now, the border between America and Mexico, mind you, we also have ports of entry, and we do have a border with Canada, but we're going to ignore that for the moment.
True.
We have 1,954 miles of border between America and Mexico. So what you're telling me, Kamala Harris, is that now we will institute a whopping 0.75 border agents per mile.
We would have brought 1,500 more border agents to the border because 30,000 immigrants are coming across every freaking minute, it seems like, right? I mean, come on. I'm exaggerating, okay? Don't fact check me there. It's an exaggeration. But seriously.
No, but that's about in line what it was.
30,000. What is it?
30,000 or something per day.
Per day, right?
So
it's like, we're going to institute 1,500 more border agents across the border. Extreme.
You're all extreme. The border will be protected now. Anyways, here we
Keep
go.
going.
Allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there's
Yes, because that's the problem. It's the fentanyl, not the people bringing the fentanyl across. Continue.
so
That's
many
good.
families watching tonight.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like
She's not talking about the illegal aliens themselves and the criminal activity that they're doing. It's the fentanyl.
the
gun.
Yes.
It's not the criminal. It's the gun.
Yes, we're getting fentanyl off the streets.
Wow.
Or you could stop the border.
Oh, yeah.
cascade.
Arrest them right there.
Yeah. Go figure. All right, we'll continue.
States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions.
Whoa! Massey, I'll let you tee that one up.
Trump got on the phone and called people. No one said, "Hey, could you square that with me? Like, what was that phone call? How did you know he made the phone?" No point of like reference to say, "Hey, was that true or not?" Right. And then she says, "This country needs a leader."
We'll just let that one sit. Just let it marinate. Let it stew.
You ask any person, Democrat, Republican, independent, a person who's not political, person who's political, what has Kamala done in her life that has benefited the Constitution, right? Or America itself? And they won't tell you a thing. They won't tell you a thing. Nothing. Right?
There's no answers.
They need a leader. This reminds me of President Obama. A guy who was he was in Congress for 117 days,
Something
I think it was
like that.
something
It was
really short,
community
and all of a
organizer.
sudden, wham! He's just the president of the United States.
Yeah.
Showed no leadership. He did community organization. Showed no leadership. Showed nothing. And to me, he was a really good talker, not a great leader.
He knew how to get people on his side because he's got charisma.
Yeah, him and Clinton.
He really
man.
has
him
charisma.
and Bill Clinton just knew how to. Man, I've heard this from conservative friends of mine. You meet Bill Clinton, it's like you want to be his friend. He's so kind and nice and just charismatic. He's got that thing about him, that likability. She has neither. Neither does Trump, but she has. I mean, I'm talking about when his public persona.
Yep.
I've heard behind closed doors, he's actually a really cool guy.
Pretty cool guy.
And,
Yeah.
I know I've heard some commentators say behind closed doors, he's very generous and kind and remembers you, remembers like your kids, like all that stuff. He's like a good dude. And I'm sure Kamala behind the scenes too is probably kind of nice. But you look at these two and you go, man, what is leadership proven? Like what is provability? When you look at those two and you think leader, right? Who are you thinking is going to lead? Now you just got
It's a horrible image.
Yeah, both of them closed eyes, right? Let us all imagine with closed eyes right now who's the leader.
They're both. That's
One
what they're
dude, at
doing.
least we could say, has led businesses. And I hate the fact that people say he had 4 bankruptcies. Dude, that is called the American dream.
Did you
That's
ever,
called the American dream. People fail and people
Did
succeed.
you ever see John Oliver? He came out. He was like, he got $1 million, and then he's only made 12 billion or whatever. If he would have put that in the stock market, it's like, you have no idea what it took him to take $1 million investment, which really isn't all that much in business, right?
$1 million
And
doesn't get you
grew it
much.
to billions of dollars.
Truth.
And went through bankruptcies, went through highs, went through lows. This is what people who don't do business do not understand.
That's exactly it.
They sit in their armchair and go, well, his business has failed.
Yeah.
Because he's out there trying.
Yeah.
You're not.
So he tries and he fails. We would consider then Abraham Lincoln the greatest failure of American president in history. If
there you
you
go.
look at his past, he failed all the time.
There you go.
You look at any person. To me, I trust those. Now, hear me out when I'm saying this. I don't trust people who continuously err in their failures. It's when they learn from those failures and then begin to succeed. That's what I respect. You got to respect a guy who at least put his best foot forward. Here, created jobs for people, right? Did everything he knew to do. I'm sure he's a selfish man. That's what business owners, for the most part, they want a salary that'll pay them because they own a company that's huge. They want to buy their properties and their houses and their cars, and that's what they do, right? You've achieved something. It's a pinnacle thing, right? That's not a justification of lust and greed. I'm saying that's what they think, right? And I'm not saying every CEO thinks that way. But you do that and you go, leader. You look at Kamala and you go, what has she led?
I got jokes that I can't make.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard went at her with her prosecution record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is all crap. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, here we go. Let's roll.
Who actually addresses the problems.
Yeah, not you.
And I'll tell you something. He's going to talk
Here's the
about
rallies.
immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised.
Okay,
This is the best.
So this is, mind you, this is right after the immigration question. Okay, and here's you watch the
Tee
first
this up,
half
just-
of her immigration stuff. This is the second half.
She didn't answer the question.
Here we go.
And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies.
The question was about immigration. I don't care about his rallies, but here we go.
Because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe
socialism.
We're here for you.
Yeah, we're going to talk about your issues, your needs, your problems. That's socialism. That is communism. That is Marxism. It's what the government can do for you. And government's role is not for that. It's to make sure that your rights are protected and secure so you can do for you. That's all socialism she's doing. That's all communism she's doing, eventually leading to totalitarianism. That's where she's at. The thing she got off question. She didn't even answer the first part. Second part, she says, he's going to talk about things that aren't even the subject matter. What does she do? She attacked him and his rallies and what he says, right?
Yes. Let's rehash this timeline. The question was, in the last 6 months, the administration finally started cracking down on immigration. What would you do differently than Biden's little administration? She goes forward and she says, Trump tried to squash a deal, squash a bill. Oh, so now you need a bill to be able to do anything with the border that you guys have opened up wide.
That's right.
Especially through executive orders and not enforcing the laws that are on the books. So you answer the question by kicking the can to how Trump supposedly scuttled a deal, and I'm not saying whether or not that's true, but let's say it is. He scuttled a deal that never actually solved the border issue.
Right.
It threw a couple of border agents at a tidal wave of immigrants.
Right.
Was basically the gist of it. Your second part to your answer is, have you been to his rallies? His rallies are really boring. And he like talks about stupid imaginary stuff. I want to talk about you. What about you?
Yeah.
This anyways, we'll continue.
She got off topic.
Just a little.
Serve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask.
Vice President Harris. Thank you so much, Vice President Harris. Thank you so much.
I'm so moved.
I'm just
President Trump, why are you evil?
Yeah. Why are you a douchebag, dude?
Yeah. Why?
That bill, and successfully so, that would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And
Classic Trump, dude.
Like some people are like,
Classic.
oh, he got in the muck too much, and it's like, at some point you gotta just kind of throw the shade back. And I think that was a perfect time for him to kind of throw that shade of like,
That was
nobody goes
perfect,
to
dude.
hers.
It was
At least they come to
perfect.
mine. So, all right, we're continuing.
It was perfect.
That was a perfect shot. Good for him.
people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't
Look
leave
at
my
her.
rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because
It's all
people
about
want to
me.
take
Me.
The greatest.
I have the best rallies ever.
The best ever.
Even the illegals come to my rallies. I love the rallies. I love my illegals. I love my gays. I love... Kamala loves me too. She just doesn't know it.
Kamala would come if she was allowed. She'd be there too, but she couldn't be there because she was having her own where nobody came. It was sad. It was really like her birthday party when she was 12 years. Nobody showed. Nobody.
She busses in people. Lots of crazy people. People that are bad people.
There's rapists and murderers. There were some fine people there. There were fine people on both sides.
Gosh, you got to give him A's for slamming. Man, he knows how to do that so good.
All right, continue.
their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject.
Not wrong. Pause button. All right. So we'll go to Springfield.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no.
So what are we talking about here? Let's just have a quick talk.
Let's tee
a
this
little
off,
chat. Yes. So what we're talking about here is, maybe you've seen the reports, maybe you haven't. There was a town, Springfield, Ohio, which had a massive influx of 20,000 Haitian migrants. and reports are that household pets are disappearing, and geese and ducks at the local parks are disappearing. And there are some reports that these animals have become barbecue on Haitian grills. Now,
I like barbecue.
never tried cat, but I think it'd be great. It tastes great. Cats are amazing.
Trump cats is what I call them.
It's Trump instead of Trump steak. It failed. It's okay because I've got Trump cat now.
That's right.
Trump cat, Trump dog. It'd be a Chinese restaurant.
That's right.
Sorry. So this whole situation, ABC, who's moderating, tries to fact check this situation. And this is what they say.
Reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
People on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I want to hit that point.
Yeah, city manager, are you kidding?
Right. So ABC, in their hard-hitting investigative journalist style, dials a phone and goes, "Hey, city manager, are dogs and cats being eaten by Haitians?"
Right. So
No.
if
Okay.
a disaster happens in a city, do they go to the city manager and say, "Hey, how's the city looking?"
Yeah.
Or do they go to the people?
Yeah. Hey, city manager, this whole thing that's under your watch that would really be a bad black
Look on you.
stain on you, is this happening? And the city manager goes, No report
man.
yet. No.
Everyone's got their dog and cat, as far as I know.
Ship shape, chicken in every pot, and duck and goose cat. Sorry, bye.
Like they're gonna lie about that. Like they're gonna say the truth about, yeah, dude, we're having a problem here.
And this is what tells me is I would not be surprised if that city manager is a Democrat, because if it's a Republican who's like, they are shoving these people down my city's
would.
throats, he
He or
would
she
say
would.
there are issues. And if in case you're like, oh, but it's not actually happening. Minutes before the debate, 911 calls were leaked of people reporting migrants hunting down and taking geese from the local park. So it stands to reason that if they're yanking geese from a park, maybe they're yanking cats too. And in case you're like, no, this is isolated incident, it's been reported in Queens, animal sacrifices are on the rise with chickens and pigs being tortured in twisted rituals.
Oh my gosh. This is great. This is
Nothing to
great.
see here, folks.
This is awesome.
Just keep
I mean,
moving.
again, this is that Trump minutia, right? He falls into these things, and I think it's good. He's saying that stuff, and I get what he's trying to do, but then he falls into the minutia,
Yes.
and it only gives them fodder because they're not going to promote anything that's extreme on their side, only what's extreme on his side.
Yep.
When you try to bring up the extreme, everyone who's a rational thinking person is going to say, yeah, I mean, there's some issues going on over there in Ohio. Anyone else on the left is going to say he's just extreme, he's crazy, he's nuts, and we're going to try to promote him as such. That's the problem I think he always falls into. Now,
Yes.
I think that's a strategy for him, though. Because you remember that interview that Megyn Kelly just had with, what's his name? She was on some podcast with a bald dude. I forget his name. And she said, when they got into it, she said afterwards, he was just the kindest, sweetest guy ever. And then he said, Megyn, wouldn't it be a shame if they weren't talking about us? And he walked away. So it's like, I think he does this so people talk about him.
And he's very much the art of the deal type guy, right?
Yeah.
And the art of the deal is you put out the most extreme thing because then somebody has to walk
You
it
got
back.
to walk it back. Yeah.
So,
So guess what? Trump is always in their minds.
he lives rent free.
Dude, rent free, legs kicked up in the friggin' hammock, right? He's getting his grapes fed to him by all the Tahitian women in their heads. You know, like he's just living. My man's living. He don't even need to do nothing. Anyway.
Just grab me a beer from the fridge. It's the greatest beer. It's Trump beer. It's the best ever. Just bring it back to me. Thanks. All right. So we're going to go to the abortion one. Let's go ahead and roll.
This is where I think I think this has to be the biggest to me. I'm not a single issue voter. To me, it's all constitutional and unconstitutional, but all these issues, the Constitution once wasn't even talked about. When you talk about the border issues, financial issues, you talk about abortion, none of it was constitutional, right? So ultimately, who loses is America. When you look at the debate itself, and you look at it as an American citizen who knows the rights, who knows where rights come from, who knows the Constitution, who tries to do his best to warn people and to you and I and others that are out there listening to this, not once was the Constitution mentioned. And I've said this about every debate for the last 6, 7 debates that I'm talking about election cycles that I've been involved in. The Constitution is never mentioned.
No.
Never. What we can do for you, how much we want to throw at education, how much we want to throw at infrastructure, how much. Nothing about constitutionally, we've seen the rights of the people eroded. Nothing.
It always boils down to what can we do for you, what we're going to do for you.
So now abortion, which is murder, has now become a personal issue, no longer a spiritual or a constitutionally protected issue. It is now a personal issue. What you feel about this thing is how the course should be run. And that's where it becomes dangerous in politics. And I was just talking to Brittany last night. We were talking about some city issues. And the debate is, do the people then have the ability by the majority to say, even if we want to destroy ourselves, you should vote city managers in our favor because we want to destroy ourselves? Or is it the city manager's job to say, I know you want to destroy yourself, but constitutionally I can't do that. So I'm not going to do that. Okay?
Right.
So it doesn't matter what you want. I have to follow the laws.
That's the difference between a nation of laws and a nation of men, right?
Right.
So when we put forward the Constitution is that standard, that framework by which we're all supposed to operate. It's just like if you have a business, you have rules, procedures, you have logistics of how your business is going to run.
100%.
So if your salesman is going against the procedures of the business and how the business operates,
100%.
you fire your salesman. And if the boss is asking the salesman to do something that is against what the business is supposed to operate, the salesman should actually come back to the boss and say, no, that's not how we do things here. That's not the rules of our business. That's not our operating procedure. And all the more, the Constitution is that where the representatives should look at us and go, I can't do that. You're asking me to do something that is not constitutional. This is not within the framework. I would be breaking the law by doing what you're asking me to do.
100%. And that, let's just start off with that premise, right? When it comes to this issue of abortion, it doesn't matter what the majority wants. It's what the Constitution allows. And it does not allow for the governments, any government, to vote on when life begins or ends.
Right.
None. So this is not even a state's issue. This is a we're killing people issue, right? And so what it's one of those things. Are we truly a republic based on laws, or are we a democracy, which is mob rule?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they love the word democracy, because it's what you want, you people, you this.
It's a nation of men.
100%, yeah.
All right, let's roll this.
And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do it?
I think that is so telling. You may have missed it because it was so obvious.
Right.
He says, would you allow abortion 9th month, 8th month, 7th month? And what you'll notice time after time after time is these people who argue for abortion without restriction, instead of standing on it, which you would do if you actually had conviction and clear conscience about what you were arguing for, she goes, come on, because she knows it's wrong.
Exactly.
If she thought it was okay, if she thought it was good, if she thought it was something to stand up for, she would. But instead, her response, come on.
Right. So you discredit what he's trying to say by your body language and your facial expressions, which is demeaning. That's condescending. It's actually narcissistic is what you're doing. almost gaslighting, because what you're doing is you're by your interpretation and by your body language, you're disregarding someone's issue against you in favor of, shut up, don't listen to him.
She never answered yes.
That's exactly it. And she didn't do that all night. She didn't answer one question, right? She didn't answer. She kept on Reddit. Even the first question that was posed, she went on this whole different, it was economy better or worse. She went on this whole different diatribe. And I think that's that narcissistic mentality that these Marxists play very, very soft and moderate. These totalitarians, they play soft and moderate to gain your confidence. And then they come in and rule with an iron fist. That's what they're, dude, seriously, you can think I'm crazy. Read a history book, dude. Like, read a history book. This is literally craziness what's happening.
There is an art to lying, and most people don't believe that they're actually could be lied to. They don't believe that somebody else could be evil enough to lie to their face about something.
Satan himself will not come to you with like a friggin'
pitchfork,
a tail, and horns, and in a grotesque way and say, "Follow me." He's not going to do that. You know what's going to look like? Desires, lust, ambition. That's what he's going to look like. He's going to look like friends that mean you do you good and don't. He's going to look like maybe an alcohol or a drug or a pill that makes you satisfied for a season and then overtakes you. That's what sin does, and that's what these people are doing.
Let's take that a step further. He will look like an angel of light. So he will be somebody who is feeding the poor and is giving money to the homeless and is somebody who's offering you goodness and taking care of you. He'll be that pastor that tells you, no, you're good, you're fine.
You just shouldn't talk about government.
We
need to be passive Christian. Watch yesterday's podcast, by the way.
Ooh, that one was shots fired. Here we go. All right, continue.
One more time.
Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer the question? Would you
because
veto?
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question, would you veto?
you could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth.
She's
Just
lying.
look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside, and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump thing.
Yeah, cut that one off quick. Let's
President Trump, shut up. Kamala, do you have a response to his nasty question? We love you, Kamala. Go ahead, sweetheart. You have 25 minutes to respond.
So notice what happened here. He raises that point.
Kamala,
she tries to twist it back to him about Roe v. Wade and dodges the whole concept. And then he doubles down. And this is true. The Governor Northam, former governor in Virginia, was on a radio program, and there are clips all over, and this is in context.
It's true. Yep.
He was asked about abortion for babies who were born. And he said, well, what we would do is we would make them comfortable, and then we would have a discussion about it. And Trump has brought this up several times for good reason, because he keeps pointing to, look, they're talking about the whole states issue thing. Right now, you know our position on that, but what he's saying is they keep talking about my state's issue. They're the ones that want unrestricted up to birth, and this guy was talking about after it's born, are we going to kill it? Because that's the abortion way.
That's exactly it.
And they're not rejecting this.
No, they're not.
not rejecting.
Because isn't New York too up to 9 months right now?
Yeah, up to birth.
Up to birth.
Up to birth. They what was it? Didn't they celebrate that the same time that they were outlawing declawing cats? I'm pretty sure that was the same time. I think that was right.
Yeah, because the cats marched in the streets. Cats' claws matter. So
but now the cats have no claws to defend themselves against the Haitians.
Right.
Bro went there.
Ow! Shots triple fired.
All right, I think we kind of nailed this one to the wall.
Abortion is this is goofy, man. So yeah, the moderators were moderators, experts. Experts. Let's talk about.
You want to do the experts clip? Let's do it. Do it. All right, here we go.
Was there bias by the moderators today?
Well,
in y'all's opinion?
Let's just look at body language. Look at the facial expressions of people when they're looking at Trump. There was clearly a bias against Trump in their faces. Let's take my other opinion. This is all my opinion. There's a little bit of a thumb on the scale when you ask one person 2 questions in a row as the primary question, and it's a softball question. That feels like bias to me. I would challenge them to tell me why that's not bias if I were in his situation.
At the same time, we're seeing the commentators, they would be speaking at the same time President Trump was. So as he's trying to finish his answer, they would not only answer, they would keep talking as well. And you can tell, and I believe, if I'm correct here, the volume of his microphone might have been a little bit hotter than everybody else's. That's why he sounded so loud. He was speaking loudly. But I think you'll hear this when you listen back and forth. This is my opinion.
Well, let me remind everybody that Scott's a Grammy-nominated music producer, so he knows a little bit about sound.
So I pay attention to that stuff a little bit.
He just lost his job.
He sounded a little bit.
He just lost his job. He's defending Trump. He's no longer producer.
Yeah, you won't ever work in this
I
town
have the greatest
again.
producers for me, the best in Hollywood. Lost his job because he defended Trump. And I said, well, he's a great guy. He's a good guy. Finished guy, nice guy. Producers need rights.
Starting my initiative, producers' rights. We're going to turn all mics great again.
They're right. Everything they said was right. It felt so lopsided. You can't even deny it. And people will deny it on their side, obviously, because they want to do that. But that's just how it
And
goes.
that's basically the gist of that clip is you've got body language experts. You got guys who are telling you, nah, this was screwy from our expert opinion. And they kept saying, look, this is our opinion. But they're right. They're right. This thing was a railroad project. Trump knew what he was stepping into. And of course, when there's been offers of other networks doing it, Harris's campaign obviously have said, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. So where do we go from here? Who knows? Who really knows? There's this type of thing. If you see another debate, it's most likely going to be very similar to this. And the hard part is people don't actually get much out of these things. It's all posturing, it's mudslinging, it's how horrible can you make the other person look. There's a bunch of psychoanalyzing going on and deep dives into body position and words said, words not said. So, but at the end of the day, our position on something like this is, well, you could laugh a little bit and recognize that, like Massey was saying, there's no discussion about the Constitution. It does not come up. It's not an issue. Nobody cares about it at this point. And when you use that as your guiding light, you go, okay, what are they actually talking about in terms of what they can and can't do, what the Constitution is, what the law says and has established? Instead, it becomes, what programs can I put together? What problems am I going to solve? What am I going to do for you? Because it's about you. It's not about the nation. It's about you. And it's kind of a sad state of affairs. But we hope you guys had fun. We had some fun. And do not forget, I'm going to put this up now. Don't forget, you can come to theselfevidenttruth.com. You can become a torchbearer. If you'd like to become a monthly sponsor, help us travel, help us minister to people, help us produce content like this, by all means, please go to theselfevidenttruth.com. Click that donate button. You can become a torchbearer today. Also, we've got merch on our website. We got t-shirts, we got some cool stuff. We got stuff you can look at. We're there for you. Stuff you can wear proudly. All right. Well, we will see you guys tomorrow. We love y'all. Y'all have a great day.